New York City is a fun, exciting city to explore with plenty of things to see and do. This is Katie from Creative Travel Guide, and today we share 15 best things to do in New York City. Looking for more travel tips? Make sure to hit subscribe and ring that notification bell. So firstly, we have Central Park. This famous sprawling oasis in the heart of Manhattan is one of the best things to do in New York City, especially if this is your first time here. Not only can you expect lush greenery, picturesque lakes and charming pathways, but you can also find playgrounds, an Alice in Wonderland statue, the Central Park Zoo, and even a castle. There are plenty of things to explore and do here, and we recommend spending at least half a day exploring Central Park. Then we have Times Square. This is one of the most famous places to visit in the city, with bright lights and dazzling billboards. This is the place for a sensory overload. Visit the shops here, head to one of the nearby restaurants, and make sure to book tickets for at least one Broadway show. If you plan on taking the hop-on, hop-off bus tour that we mentioned later on in this video, the routes often leave from Times Square too. Meaning with this easy transportation option, subways on most corners, great restaurants and bars here as well, Times Square is a fantastic place to stay, especially if you are only visiting for a few days. And there are plenty of hotel options nearby, from budget chain hotels to more luxurious options as well. We actually have a whole blog post about the best things to do in and around Times Square, so we'll leave the link to that in the description below. Next we have the Brooklyn Bridge. This iconic bridge is a marvel of engineering and connects Manhattan to Brooklyn. Take a ferry over to Brooklyn and then either walk or cycle back across the bridge to get panoramic views of the New York City skyline. Visit the bridge during early morning or late afternoon for the best lighting and fewer crowds, or head here for sunset to see the city skyline light up. Wear comfortable clothing if you plan on walking or cycling across the bridge as well. Then we have the Statue of Liberty and Ellis Island. This is another iconic thing to do in New York City, to see the Statue of Liberty that symbolizes freedom. Explore the museums and grounds around the Statue of Liberty itself, but also make sure to stop by Ellis Island to learn about the immigration history of the United States. If you can, we recommend trying to head up to the crown in the Statue of Liberty. We loved our experience and you get some incredible views of the city, but it's also fascinating to be inside the Statue of Liberty itself. This is a very popular site to visit, so arrive early to avoid the queues, and if you do want to visit the Crown, book those tickets in advance on the website. We recommend booking Crown tickets a few months ahead of your visit. We will leave the link to where you can book those tickets in the description below. Next we have the Empire State Building. Of course, whilst you're in New York, you have to head up the Empire State Building. And although there has been some debate about which observation deck is the best, we do recommend heading up the Empire State Building because it is an iconic piece of architecture. There is also a museum here that takes you through the history of the Manhattan skyline. From the observation deck, you can see incredible views of the city and landmarks such as Times Square, the Hudson River and Central Park. Another great viewpoint is from Top of the Rock. Some people prefer the Empire State Building, some people prefer the Top of the Rock. We suggest you do both because from the Top of the Rock you can get a breathtaking panoramic view of a skyline that also includes the Empire State Building. You can save money for this attraction and many others on this list using the New York City Pass. We will leave the link in the description below. But for these two observation decks, we recommend choosing one to go to during the day and one to go to in the evening for slightly different types of views. Then we have Greenwich Village and Soho. Wander the streets of the charming Greenwich Village and Soho, where you can find historic homes and artistic boutiques. This is a unique thing to do in New York and greatly contrasts sites like Times Square. The theatre district, known as Broadway, is where you can find incredible musical performances and plays, and is another best thing to do in New York City. There are various ways that you can book Broadway tickets, whether it is online at the ticket booth in Times Square or using one of the various apps and websites to get some cheaper deals. We actually have a whole blog post about this on our website, Creative Travel Guide. Again, I will leave the link to that in the description below. Then we have the Metropolitan Museum of Art. The Met is known as a cultural treasure in New York and loved by art enthusiasts all over the world. With a vast collection of art that spans centuries and continents, the Met is a must-visit for art lovers and anyone visiting New York City. Alternatively, or as well as, you could also head to the Museum of Modern Art. This is a great place for those who are a fan of modern and contemporary artwork, sharing an extensive collection of paintings, sculptures, and multimedia installations. For those that love museums and want to learn more about the wonders of the natural world, then head to the American Museum of Natural History. Whether you are looking for dinosaur fossils or immersive exhibitions that show the ecosystems around the world, this is an interesting place to visit in New York, especially if you are visiting here with children. A more romantic thing to do here in New York is to take a cruise along the Hudson and East River. Take in the New York City skyline and appreciate the landmarks from a different perspective on a cruise. There are many different options that you can choose from, whether you just want to take an affordable taxi boat or enjoy a lovely cruise with a meal and music, or take a more unique option such as the Clipper sailing ships. There are various options. We will leave some great choices in the description below, but try to take a cruise along the Hudson River whilst you're in New York. For an interesting but somber experience, head to the 9/11 Museum and Memorial, a place that remembers the events of September 11th, 2001. Located at the World Trade Center site, the museum shares artifacts, personal testimonies, and multimedia exhibits that share the events of that day. The memorial features 2 reflective pools set within the footprints of the Twin Towers, serving as a reminder of the scale of the loss that was had that day. Another interesting thing to do in New York City is to take the HIGHLINE. This elevated park was built on a former railway track and now serves as a pathway and garden for locals and visitors. If you are visiting in the spring, summer, or fall months, this is a great place to take a stroll and see the city from a different perspective. The HIGHLINE also has various access points and nearby subway stations, including 14th Street and 8th Avenue. Not too far from the HIGHLINE's northern end is the Vessel, a unique structure in Hudson Yard, which we do recommend visiting. Another thing to do in New York City is to take a hop-on, hop-off bus tour. This is a great way to see the famous landmarks and historic buildings that you will want to see when you are here. The great thing about these bus tours is that you can see plenty of these landmarks within a short space of time. The hop-on, hop-off bus tour includes different loops that take you around most parts of the city and includes iconic landmarks such as the Empire State Building, the Flatiron Building, the Brooklyn Bridge, Wall Street, Hudson Yard, and Times Square. Again, we will leave the link to that in the description below. Watch this video to find out the things to know before you go to New York City. Then to learn about 10 free things to do in NYC, watch this video. We hope you have an incredible time in New York and stay creative.